I need to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app. See, the OneFootball app is the best football app there is out there, and I use it for a load of different reasons. It's great for transfer rumours, team news and starting 11s, which is actually really useful when I'm making these tactical videos. On top of that, you can now watch game highlights and even live matches, all on the OneFootball app. And believe it or not, it actually gets even better than that, because now you can do it all for free if you use the link in the description down below. So make sure to get in the description, press the link and download the OneFootball app right away. Trust me, you guys will not regret downloading this app. It really is great. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we've got a bit of a two-part video. Now, Manchester United are currently being linked with two wingers. One is Cody Gakpo, that you can see on screen here, and the other is Antony over that way. That way somewhere. Now, depending on the journalist you believe, some talks are it's Gakpo or Antony, and the other talks are it's Gakpo and Antony. So I thought what we'd do this week is take a look at both players. Now, Antony is a player we've spoken about before, particularly his strengths. So today we're going to talk about Antony, briefly cover his strengths, but look more at the tactical side of things. And then later in the week we'll look at Gakpo, a player we haven't covered before, so we will look at more of his strengths in detail, and then again the tactics. But like I said, today we are starting with Antony, and how he will fit into this Manchester United team, and the tactical impact that will have on the side. And in particular, why Erik ten Hag is so keen to get him into the club. So, I think we all know that Antony is very much a right winger, which would mean Sancho moving over to the left-hand side, which perhaps instantly looks like a benefit because he was so good there last season, and Antony coming onto the right wing. Now, with the Antony talk, a lot of people are concerned about the price tag because some of the numbers being spoken about are absolutely ludicrous, but do I think he is worth that amount of money? Absolutely not. But you've got to think Ajax don't have to sell, which instantly means that the price is going to go up. Ajax know United are desperate, which again raises the price, and just things like that. So it is going to be an expensive transfer, probably the wrong amount of money, but at the same time I can see why those are the numbers we're talking about. And interestingly, I think Erik ten Hag is really desperate to get him into the team. Now, one of the reasons for that is because he worked with him at Ajax last season, where we saw a lot of his strengths really come into fruition as a player. And I think the one that we all think about when we think about Antony is his dribbling ability, and his ability to beat 2 or 3 players in situations like this. Perhaps if it's Marcus Rashford or Sancho, at times they can struggle in these situations. But Antony is a player who will quickly work the ball and throw a lovely bit of skill. There's compilations everywhere on YouTube. He'll throw a bit of skill in here, beat 2 men, and then work his way into the box. And I think that is what is quite exciting about Antony, and that is his main strength that I think would be important to this United team. So the other day I was looking at the signing of Casemiro, and I was saying that it could change the system for Manchester United into more of a 3, a 2, a 4 and then a 1, and this is very much the formation that we saw from Ajax last season, certainly for large periods of the season. And that could suit Antony perfectly if Ten Hag does choose to go to this formation, because again, it means that Antony is playing in a role that he is very familiar with. Now, this isn't a system that Sancho has played on the right wing, and it also isn't a system that Rashford has played on the right wing. So instantly, Antony comes into this and is quite comfortable. But the important thing is, one, that his fullback on this side is playing quite narrow, and 2, that Antony can hold the width. And the way I would describe Antony is what I would call an isolation winger, where he is constantly looking to hold the width and get into 1 versus 1 situations. And that is almost exactly what United need. Now let me just put in the opposition defence real quick. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is jerseyfifa.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video. So in this sort of system, the narrow positioning of the fullbacks is particularly important, and especially Dalot on this right hand side would be. Because what it does, it means that when the opposition are defending, they have to move their winger narrower to cope with the fact that Dalot, Casemiro, Eriksen and Fernandes are all in this area. If not, you get outnumbered in the middle of the pitch. Now typically the fullback would be wider, and we would see this number 7, the opposition's winger, defending in quite a wide position, and we can see that just even getting the ball to Antony in the first place is now more difficult. And when he does get the ball, he's got more players around him to take on. However, what moving Dalot central does into this 3-2 shape alongside Casemiro is it drags this number 7 inside, because you just can't risk getting overrun in the middle of the pitch. But suddenly this frees up Antony, because first of all you've got the centre-back who can now play this ball out here, and you've got different midfielders who can work the ball to him. And now Antony is 1 versus 1 against his man. And that is not something that a defender wants, because Antony is one of the best dribblers in Europe at the moment. He's super exciting, super skillful, acceleration, just pace in general. He is very, very difficult to defend in these sorts of scenarios. And what it means is that he is constantly able to get the ball in these wide areas and then really progress the play forward for his side. And actually I think that's perhaps the most important thing when we look at his FB ref report. Now his dribbles completed is actually only 1.57 per 90, ranking in the 53rd percentile, whilst his pass completion is in the 61st percentile, neither of which are particularly great. But the two numbers that really impress me are the progressive passes, 5.33 per 90, ranking him in the 92nd percentile, and the progressive carries, 11.6, ranking him in the 98th percentile. And this is what Manchester United are desperate for. Currently United really struggle to progress the ball forward, whether it's from the midfielders or the forwards. No one can really just get the ball and progress it. Whereas we can see from these numbers that Antony is absolutely brilliant at doing that. And that is why he is so effective from this wide area. Dalot tucks in, drags the winger in. It means Antony can get the ball and then drive at the defence. Now in terms of how the opposition react, it can differ. We might see a team push the fullback right up here, but that's going to be dangerous because Antony is brilliant at sucking an opponent in before then beating them down the line or even coming inside. So that is a risky move. The other move is to drop off and let him have the ball, but again that is risky because we can see that he can carry the ball forward, again ranking in the 98th percentile. So what it does is it gives the opposition a decision to make. Do you get touch tight and risk the potential of being spun and leaving space in behind, or do you sit off slightly but then you give a quality player time on the ball? It'd be interesting to see how different teams would approach this. Now, one approach, like I said there, is to give Antony time on the ball, and in this wide area that is very, very dangerous. And I'll show why with his heat map. So whilst Antony very much likes to start wide in this wider area, which Ten Hag wants, allowing him to get the ball, he is then very versatile from this position. He is capable of beating his man, going out wide and then putting a ball into the box, but also if he's given a bit of time, he likes this little bit of space that we can see forming here, carrying the ball inside onto his stronger left foot. And again, that's what we can see from his heat map. Initially, he is receiving the pass out here, but he is also getting a lot of touches on the ball and spending a lot of time on the edge of the area in this sort of inside channel just on the edge of the box. And that's where he's really dangerous, whether that's a curling effort in towards goal or perhaps even a slightly looped cross. And that is something that we could see as the season progresses, particularly with the movement of Dalot and Fernandes. Now, something that we've seen early on in the season, let me bring Sancho over this side, is Sancho getting the ball in this sort of position here, and we saw this in pre-season as well, and then Dalot would be starting here and making an underlapping run. And to be fair, the link up between Sancho and Dalot has been good, but we haven't seen it enough since the move to the Premier League. However, what Antony does, being left-footed, is it just naturally makes it easier because he's able to cut inside onto his left foot, move in here, and then play the little reverse pass either on the outside or on the inside of the defender. Now, this relationship between Antony and his fullback is very important. We saw it last season with Mazraoui, where the two of them wreaked havoc against opposition defences because they had this synergy of when the move was to go inside and when to go outside, and it created a really nice dynamic. So it would be important for Antony to get that with Dalot as well. If it worked well, then it could be really, really dangerous. Like I said, we saw it in pre-season between Sancho and Dalot, but with Antony it should have a more natural fit because of being left-footed. Also, of course, there are times when Dalot can overlap, or perhaps Bruno Fernandes can overlap, and again that allows Antony to come inside, where he can be really good with crosses into the box. But I think the most important thing for me is that he is holding the width, and I think he could have a similar sort of role to the one that Riyad Mahrez has at Manchester City. And that can be backed up when we go back to the heat map. So this is Antony's heat map from last season in the Eredivisie, and let me just compare it to Riyad Mahrez for Manchester City. The two of them are very, very similar in terms of this zone here. So again, this is Mahrez in this area, starting wide, and then looking to naturally come inside onto his left foot, although we can go on the outside as well, and that's exactly what Manchester United need. Now, something else that we saw, particularly during pre-season, and we saw it in training clips and also in the games, was Manchester United building possession down one side of the pitch, because what this does is it brings the opposition defenders over. We can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders are dragged over because this is the side where United are trying to build possession, and naturally it squeezes player over, it gravities players over. But what this does, if Antony is holding the width, is it means that once again he can be used as what I call an isolation winger, where he is holding the width on this side of the pitch. The fullback is tucked in slightly, so Antony can receive the long pass out, perhaps from someone like Casemiro or Eriksen, someone like that, and then get at his man. And I think that is a pattern where Antony could be at his most dangerous. He doesn't necessarily have to be involved in every move. United could predominantly prioritise the left-hand side to build attacks, but that switch to the right with Antony then getting at his man could really be lethal. And again, that is something that we very much see from Riyad Mahrez at Manchester City. It's the way he's used, and it's why these top managers think width is so important. Because if you have width, you are stretching the pitch as big as possible. It's very much a basic in football. When you defend, you try and be compact and make the pitch quite small. When you attack, you then split, move forward and make the pitch as big as you can. And that is what having a player like Antony would do. Now Sancho, when he plays this side, to be fair, to an extent he has been holding the width, but naturally he likes to drift into this area here. Being right-footed, it just seems he just likes this little zone where he can then work in this channel. Whereas Antony will provide a more natural outlet, a more natural width, and I would just call him a more traditional, old-school winger, where he's constantly looking to get the ball and beat his man. He's one of those players that constantly wants the ball at his feet. And that's what United need. United have a lot of players at the moment, the likes of McTominay, that kind of shy away from possession a bit at times. Antony is not that sort of player. We saw it at Ajax last season. He constantly demands the ball, and that can only be a positive for United, because it allows him to get into these positions and constantly get at his man. Now, the nature of that sort of role and that sort of position is that he will make mistakes. We can see, if we go back to his FBref report, that his dribbles completed isn't the highest in the world. His pass completion isn't the highest in the world. So there will be scenarios where he loses the ball. But the more important thing is that is okay for that to happen. A player can lose the ball and it doesn't mean they're bad. If I try and dribble at someone and lose possession, it doesn't mean I'm bad at dribbling. It might just be well defended. The point is that Antony is a player that is willing to keep trying it. So there will be spells where he would lose the ball with a poor cross, or try and take on too many players, or make the wrong decision, shoot when he shouldn't. That will happen. But I think we have to expect that to an extent from attackers. Because when you give them this license to make mistakes, it also means that they make moments of magic. And Antony very much is that type of player. Again, if you go through YouTube, watch the compilations, you can see that this guy can really produce some incredible moments. But only if he is given the license to try things. And that is why the relationship with Ten Hag is so important. Ten Hag clearly trusts him, he's happy to spend a lot of money on him, he's been pursuing him all summer. There's clearly a natural trust and bond between the two of them. And that is something, again, that United are really lacking at the moment. Overall, to kind of summarise, I think Antony is a very good footballer, and I think he would be a good signing for Manchester United. The problem for me personally lies within the fee. 100 million is nearly, well, it's probably more than double what I think Antony is worth. When I was talking about him back in January, I was saying that this is a player that Manchester United should sign in the summer, because he's a bit of an unknown talent, a lesser known talent, a smaller fee, and less pressure. Perhaps a 40 million transfer could have been a nice smart bit of business. However, as things have progressed, he's now worth 100 million, apparently. Do I think he's worth that? Do I agree? Absolutely not. But Manchester United are desperate, and they may have to overspend this window to get the players they need. Currently, Ten Hag does not have the players in the squad to play the way he wants, and we've seen it already in the opening 2 games of the season. And this is before the Liverpool game, so who knows what happened in that match. But Antony is a player who knows Ten Hag's system. Technically, he is the right sort of profile for what Ten Hag wants, both technically and tactically as well, actually. So, perhaps one-off this summer, it is worth overspending just to make sure Ten Hag gets the players that he needs. Because if he doesn't, it will be a really long, hard season. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about the price, because United can't afford to keep overspending on players because they've been doing it for 10 years. But perhaps right now is the one moment that they can, because Ten Hag desperately needs players. Just 2 games alone in the Premier League at the top level has exposed the fact that so much of this squad cannot play Ten Hag's football. They either technically, tactically, mentally, physically, one of those 4 reasons, they can't do it. Antony is a player that can do it and ticks all 4 of those boxes. So perhaps this is a summer where you overspend a little bit to guarantee that Ten Hag gets who he wants. In terms of if it was actually to happen, I think Antony would be a bit of a hot and cold player, a player that frustrates at times, and I think he is still very raw, both technically and tactically. However, I think if given the time and given a little bit of trust, allowed to make mistakes, then he could be a wonderful footballer. And I think, like I keep saying, he could be Manchester United's Riyad Mahrez on this right wing. A player that holds the width, but also comes inside onto his left foot, tactically plays a huge role, but also offers some individual moments of pure quality. Again, that is what United need. So overall, if the move was to happen, I think it would be a good signing, but I think fans would need to be patient. I don't think he would necessarily hit the ground running. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think the price is right? Do you think United should sign him? And if United do sign him, how quickly do you think it will be before he makes an impact? Let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which should be a Cody Gakpo video later on in the week. Thanks guys.